San Diego's Fire and Rescue says, again, all of their fire personnel was accounted for as they were getting ready to clear this area just after 11 a.m. so that they could use foam to help put out these flames, those massive flames there that you can see that actually the smoke that is billowing, that smoke can be seen, I'm sure, for miles. And as for people who got hurt, Navy officials tell Fox News that the injuries are light. You have those sailors that suffered those minor injuries and apparently some firefighters who suffered from smoke inhalation. And as we have been mentioning, as we've been breaking in to the newscast here, just talking about this ship and this fire, this ship has a very rich history during its 20-year career. It's returned to the U.S. about 2 years ago after being deployed to Japan for 6 years. So again, that good news there that the people who were injured at this point have suffered minor injuries, but we're going to keep an eye out for that vessel that is apparently docked right beside the Bonhomme that we're hearing is being threatened right now. Molly?
Christina Coleman, thank you. One of the major headlines there that all sailors and firefighters are accounted for as well. Thank you for your reporting. Eric, to you.
Yeah, Molly, that certainly is what we are all thankful for, that everyone is accounted for and those injuries apparently are light. The Bonhomme usually carries Sea Knight and Sea Stallion helicopters. It's an amphibious assault ship. The military newspaper Stars and Stripes reporting that there were about 200 members of the crew on board this morning when this apparent explosion of fire started, perhaps from, as Jennifer Griffin is telling us, from a welding accident. And of course, we hope that no one else is injured. Joining us now on the phone with more on this is Niels Andersen. He is a former Navy corpsman who was CEO of MedCV. So, Niels, obviously this is a giant challenge as we see this massive amount of gray and white smoke, a challenge to try and get this under control. You know, what's the strategy as of this moment?
Well, I think ships are built by design to compartmentalize things. Hopefully they've done as much of that as they possibly can and isolate things to a certain part of the ship. It seems like it's in for maintenance, so luckily there weren't that many people on board, obviously, and ordnance and aircraft have probably also mostly been removed. But fuel is definitely concerned, and then obviously moving other ships wherever they need to be out of a range of risk.
Yeah, the USS Fitzgerald apparently is a Arleigh Burke-class destroyer. Apparently, is docked right next to the Richard. So obviously, and we can see it in the background there. The helicopters are off. That ship is undergoing maintenance when this happens. So they also have to protect the other ship and other assets.
Yeah, I mean it's there's a lot of fuel and a lot of risk being in such close proximity to each other in these large military aircraft or aircraft carriers and other ships, landing crafts like this. But the Navy, they prepare for this. They train all the time, not only on individual ships, but on the command as well. So if anyone is prepared, it's the United States Navy to tackle something like this.
That is for sure. They have drills, emergency drills, all hands frequently to deal with this.
Right.
I mean, what type of fuel are we talking about? What do you think is burning? And do they, obviously this likely will continue for some time?
Yeah, I don't know. I believe this is not a nuclear-powered vessel, so it must be diesel fuel and those kinds of things. But the other thing, too, that's, I think, fortunate is that we have the Navy hospital there, the San Diego Navy Hospital, which is the largest Navy hospital in the world. And that was my last command. I was the leading petty officer of the emergency department there. So that hospital's ready to receive anybody. Fortunately, there aren't that many injuries. But, of course, if it spreads, it could... it could hurt others as well, including the firefighters themselves. Now, also, one thing about the Navy, I remember in boot camp, every single one of us went at least through some training in firefighting, no matter what your primary job is, and that continues on the ship at all times as well.
Yeah, I remember seeing in hoods and complete fire equipment. having those drills when I reported from several
Right.
aircraft carriers. This ship, I mean, it has a
Right.
storied history, was involved with the war on terrorism, Southern Watch, enforcing the no-fly zone over Iraq, humanitarian deployments also, has been in port in San Diego for 2 years after being forward deployed in Japan. And it's named after the French frigate that the French gave us that was commanded by John Paul Jones. And the name Bonhomme Richard comes from Port Richard's Almanac as a homage to Ben Franklin. And ironically, the original frigate, after a battle with the Brits, well, that caught fire and sank back in 1779. So it certainly helped that the modern version, this namesake, does not carry that same fate. But I have to tell you, Niles, for those of us who love the Navy, it's kind of heartbreaking. Thankfully, there's no loss of life. Thankfully, the injuries are not major, but still, it's a sad day to see a beautiful ship like this just engulfed in flames.
Yeah, it is. At the same time, when you mention the history, the powerful history, I can't help but think about how proud we are, right, of those people that our ships were named after. It's made us who we are, and thankfully, it's minimal injuries here. Maybe this could be a part of getting our attention away from all the other news that's going on and focus on where we've come from and what we are and where we want to be, as American patriots, so to speak, and we're all one. We don't want to change the way we're doing things in America. We want to make it better, but all these people, all these presidents, and the history of the Navy and all of the other armed forces I don't know how to express it exactly, but maybe it'll put our attention where it really belongs. We're all in this together. Everyone that's fighting this fire right now, they're in it together. It doesn't matter who you are or what you are, you're fighting this fire together.
Niles, I think you're putting that quite eloquently as a reminder of the history of this country, of all those who have gone before us, those who have served like you have in our armed forces, not just recently, but going back to the 250 plus 45 years history of this nation, those who have stood up and represented American democracy. This is a symbol of that will never and can never be taken from us by anybody. Niels Andersen of the Navy, a former corpsman, thank you for joining us this afternoon.